Clinical trials are more complex than ever, and sites and patients can be anywhere. Data is cascading in from a variety of sources, but technology has not kept pace with today's decentralized digital world. So, how can you transform clinical development? Step forward with encapsia. Our holistic, user-friendly platform provides multimodal data capture for real-world flexibility. eSource, EDC, and Home Visit collect real-time data from any trial source, while reducing or eliminating the need for patients to travel. Conduct makes data cleaning and monitoring easy. And Insights enables 3D visualizations and actionable data in real time. All available in one revolutionary, purpose-built platform. More efficient, more flexible, more powerful. Encapsia integrates seamlessly with your existing systems and vendors, ensuring clean, accurate data you can trust. Are you ready to step forward and do data differently? Schedule a demo to see why our users are raving.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today in our product showcase. Today, I'm with Timothy Corbett-Clark, CTO of CMed Technology. Today, we're going to talk about DCT challenges, disparate data, structured, unstructured data, and how encapsia makes handling all that data in one hub that all clinical teams can use possible. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Tope. It's great talking to you today. One of my favorite subjects, DCT. I'd like to start by just really at the strategic level. The clinical trials landscape is filled with point and unified solutions. And that description is often rather misleading. I think we all need to start realizing that unified solutions, platforms cannot meet the challenges of implementing DCT. We need something better. There's so much pain around aggregating and integrating disparate data. DCT's brought that to the fore, but it was present before as well. This is in some ways not new. It's just that the problems become more acute. There's a lack of speed in seeing the data. A lot of the data presentations are flat. They're based upon tabular listings because that's what people are sort of used to. Some of the visualizations are just poor quality or naive and aren't genuinely helpful, or they're passive. They're just providing information and not allowing people to take action and ultimately clean the data and understand the data in real time, responsively. It's something that I believe passionately that we haven't been giving the operational teams the best tools possible to allow them to run challenging setups like decentralized trials.
And I was just going to say, I think you're singing to the choir here. I'm sure our audience of biostatisticians and data managers really do feel the pain that you're talking about, because it's their responsibility to really stitch all of that data together from source to analysis. So what are your thoughts there about, how we can address some of those challenges with a platform like Encapsia when it comes to decentralized trials?
I think the place to start is not by bolting on bits and pieces and trying to assemble them into a solution. You have to start more holistically with a platform fit for purpose, designed for capturing the different data types, designed for full data provenance, designed for integration, so that you have at the heart a platform that can take in all the different data from wherever it's coming from in real time, blending the traditional clinical trial data points with the more innovative data points that are coming live from patients or directly from patients in the decentralized setup. So we believe very deliberately that you need the platform with batteries included and a strong capability to connect to best of breed decentralized trial solutions.
Agreed. And I think one of the challenges with DCT is that it's trying to do something new with a lot of old tools, right? And DCT is a new thing for us as an industry. Can you tell us a little bit more, Tim, about what it means to stitch those solutions together? When we talk about data integration, when we talk about, the mapping process, all of the complex things that we deal with, what does it take to get that data to the state that you're talking about, which is ready for analysis, ready for action?
There's a couple of areas that immediately spring to mind, and that, of course, we built into our Encapsia product. The first is having a database backbone that is fit for purpose for the different data types that you now have to deal with in the real world. Because you're combining consumer tech and consumer feeds of data directly from patients with the traditional data points. And the second is a very strong integration strategy. And with our encapsia product, we've taken integration really to the next level in a couple of aspects. One is that our apps are integrations with our platform. So our own apps are integrations. This tells you a lot about how our apps work and the accessibility to the metadata. And it shows that when we integrate with best-of-breed point solutions in the DCG space, that we achieve the same level of integration as we do with our own apps itself. The second point is on the ability to process the data in the system itself. And we've built an analytics component within encapsia that is a fit-for-purpose environment for data scientists. It's used in a number of different areas, for example, our powerful insights and visualizations. But on the data integration front, that same analytics environment is used to process data on the way in to the platform. So you've got the full power of a data science analytics environment to process these different data sources with full audit trail and data provenance as you're bringing into that mainstream database. That's a very powerful piece that we're very excited about.
So we know there's a shift from data management to data science. Can you tell our audience more about the encapsia tools that truly enable that transformation of tasks from data management to data science?
encapsia has, alongside traditional tracking and raising of queries and all that good stuff that data managers are experts at, we provide two environments that allow them to perform very similar tasks in a sort of a more fundamentally different way. And they're basically the insights and analytics environment. So our insights, because it's the tech on top of the data, the insights display all of the metadata that's needed, as well as the data, appropriately blinded, of course, alongside the ability for users of those insights to take action. Our insights provide the ability to take action where people need to do it. One of our insights is a 3D representation of all the data points across the whole study. And we've combined all of the metadata within every data point so you get a visualization of how much more work needs to be done. So you can do a critical path analysis and really tackle those data that is the hardest to clean or has the most process steps and perform that in real time early on, rather than discovering later on that you've been spending an awful lot of time reviewing lots of data en masse when you weren't actually focusing on that data that mattered the most. We're seeing certain groups of our users shifting from traditional data management into this far more cutting edge data science world, which is unquestionably the future.
Mm-hmm. The great thing about it is that the encapsia platform really empowers data managers to become data scientists, right? Without having to go through a variety of tools, tips, and systems. And that, to me, is the best part, is that your CRAs, your clinical sites, your PMs, everyone is working in this same environment, having this same high-level experience, but all touching the data in the ways that they need to touch the data and acting on that data as quickly as is possible. One of the other areas that I think we do a really great job of at encapsia is building those APIs. So we do have SaaS APIs. We have any number of integrations that we can do. And so we are excited to show you our product and show you some of these really cool things that we have to offer you, visualizations in forms, that 3D visualization that Tim referred to, and how you can have these very streamlined workflows configured to your needs and meet all of your study requirements for data handling. So we look forward to showing you encapsia, and we look forward to chatting with everyone more in the Q&A. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our session today. My name is Timmy Tope Keys. I'm Executive Director of Business Development at CMed Technology. Tim?
Hello, everybody. I'm Tim Corbett-Clark. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at CMed Tech.
So we have a question, Tim. Jayasmita, I'm so sorry if I've mispronounced that. What skills would data managers and statisticians require to embed this technology, especially with regards to programming?
I can take that. Yes, it's a nice question. So there's basically we support a spread of technical skills as our data managers become more and more like data scientists. So might have more junior people who are experienced in the clinical data management world, but without much tech. They can leverage the workflow within the different apps and the various insights, which, as we said in the presentation, are actionable as well, without any programming skills. But our analytics environment supports Python and R, allowing statisticians and data scientists to use those programming environments against the same REST API and the same tech stack that's used by the different apps to interact and clean the data, view the data visually or in tabular listings, usually write relatively small amounts of analytical code to export that data and the metadata. So that's all available. And of course, all of that's appropriately blinded and restricted. So blinded as per the studies, but also restricted from a GDPR perspective as well for any source data that's coming as e-source, for example.
Yes, and I'll just add that with regard to the build process for encapsia, currently we offer we can do the configuration for our clients in order to take advantage of that architecture that Tim is referring to there. So we're happy to share more in a demo about exactly how you can leverage encapsia within your teams. We have another question, Tim, as far as integrations goes, how long would it take how long does it take to do the integrations and the analytics setup? So another kind of configuration question.
Yeah, so it's another good question, of course. So the analytics is there's no setup time. You just open it, one of the apps. If you've been assigned permission to use the analytics app, then you log into that and you can use that environment immediately. As I said, you're going to need to know Python or R and have some data science and clinical trial expertise as well. Integrations, if you mean integrations with third parties, for example, well, of course, we all understand that it kind of depends on how complicated an integration and whether that particular vendor has been integrated with before. But it can be as quick as under a day to set up an integration with one that we're familiar with and we work with all the time. And of course, how long is a piece of string? If it's a very complicated integration, then it could take very much longer. But generally speaking, almost all of our studies that we run within encapsia have at least one integration. So the teams are very used to setting them up and keeping them operating.
Yep. And I think that one of the things that we like to do, if you have some unique integrations, is that we do POCs for our clients in order to make sure that we test and validate those integrations, because we are seeing more complex devices, wearables, things like that be utilized in trials. Another benefit of encapsia is that you would get a trial configuration library and you would be able to reuse those APIs for those vendors that you're working with on a repeated basis. Right, Tim, so we've got another question here. So we have a question from Christian Mihan. Any plans on implementing AI into encapsia for visualizations and other operational tasks like queries, data set exports, et cetera? I think we're well suited.
Yeah, so one of my personal favorite topics, actually. So yes, we've done a POC to demonstrate the scanning or the parsing of CT scans and identifying of cancerous tumors. So we display those images live within encapsia, identify the location of likely nodules with a probability assigned to them, and the results of that data is then fed also directly into encapsia with a workflow that allows people to decide to essentially to automatically or manually, depending on the kind of risk profile of the client, decide whether it requires overreading, overscoring by experts, human experts, or just being left to the AI. There's a load. One of the key reasons why we added analytics into the encapsia product itself is to be ready to leverage data scientists and AI algorithms. So the tooling is there. It's now up to the users and the clients for their risk appetite. How much do they want to leverage AI? How do they work out how best to adopt it? Is it a big bang adoption of AI algorithms into the study, or is it more progressive? And we've got ideas in that. We're not AI experts, but it's a keen subject and an obvious route, an obvious leverage of the encapsia platform and the analytics in particular. allowing actually, so slightly further, allowing those AI algorithms to be explored, but then surfaced as insights, which can then be assimilated and used by non-technical people. So we don't want AI to be, a technical barrier just because they are complicated algorithms, difficult to understand. They're often black box solutions. Doesn't mean they have to be presented in a technically complicated way.
Thanks, Tim. And so I just wanted to add there that even though the AI piece is in the future, what we do have with our visualizations is the ability to act on the data within our insights. So you are able to take actions on data points and go to conduct, which is our clinical data management area. You are able to look at queries that are on a single data point within our visualizations and insights, and you are able to get those data set exports at the form level, at the domain level, or the entire CRF directly from our insights. And that goes into the next question, which was about reducing the effort of biostats teams to get to create TLFs. We know that that's often a challenge because if all of this data is aggregated, integrated, reconciled clean, it needs to be pushed. So we do offer a couple of different ways to do that. We offer a SaaS API that allows you to call data on demand when you need it from encapsia for biostats purposes. And that obviously add speed to the workflow. If data is coming in cleaner because of point of entry edit checks, you're able to act on it from the visualizations and then able to pull that data. Did I miss anything there before we go to the next question?
That's great. That's great. Thanks, David.
Yeah. And so what is the repeatability of the builds? Can builds be copied between protocols? I'll say yes, but Tim, you can give more detail there.
Well, I mean, the answer is yes. So yes, for very similar studies, yeah, the trial configuration builds or subparts of it can be copied across, mostly at a technical level because it's all the same uniform REST API. So there's no difference between data and apps and trial configuration. It's another reason why there's literally zero downtime when you make adjustments to the trial configuration. You wouldn't expect downtime if you change the data point, or why would you expect downtime when you change a metadata point? So something related to the trial config.
Yep, exactly. And we have another question for you, Tim, but I'll take it off from the top. Risk-based monitoring. How do we handle risk-based monitoring? Well, we have a couple of ways we do that. Like I said, we have actionable visualizations. We offer alerts and notifications within encapsia, and we have something called tracks. So those are configurable workflows. So depending on, say, your safety workflow, medical monitoring, et cetera, we can configure encapsia to have certain data points, if they reach a certain threshold, trigger actions on your part. And then, of course, we have the powerful visualizations within encapsia. Tim, anything you want to add to that?
Well, I think only that if clients have particular algorithms that they want to plug into encapsia for their own risk-based modeling approaches, then they can do so as well. So yeah, so it's very extensible, mostly using that analytics environment.
All right, and our last question, is there a need for a specialized designer? No, there isn't. Number one, we do the builds for you. And number two, complicated protocols are our bread and butter, to be very honest. encapsia was really built to deal with complex protocols. And I think we have a couple of other questions as far as eTMF integration into encapsia. We do support attaching documents, but we generally integrate with our clients eTMF. And so I believe that we're just coming up on time. Thank you all so much for joining us, and please contact us for a demo or talk further.